Hello there, this is Dr. Jai Mathani coming to you again with another brief reflection with these talks on embracing a bipolar world with grace. Welcome. Today we want to talk about the subject that is most personal to me. No, not the easiest, probably in fact the hardest for me to deal with, and that is the subject of anxiety. Oh, how I long for serenity and for peace and silence, but instead I have found in my life many storms of anxieties and the ensuing waves of fear, anger, and defensiveness, and worry and fret. I've been using the PRC method, which I have learned over the years, and am proposing in these talks that we together learn to pause, reflect, and connect in order to embrace and overcome our bipolarities with grace. And today, with our anxieties on the one hand and serenity on the other. You know, when I find myself being anxious, I have the feeling that I'm losing space around me. I'm feeling like I'm constrained, and there is an uneasiness about what's happening here and now, and especially the future outcome. I feel like a choking, a clamping in, and it affects even my breathing, and I even start sweating. Now I know we all get anxious. It's normal. If your car breaks down in the middle of the night, you might get anxious. Your gas runs out in the middle of a traffic jam. A cop pulls you over and you are returning home from a dinner party. You know, we are not all diagnosed with a mental illness, but I'm sure you'll agree we all have the tendencies, the real feelings of anxiety, fear, depression, or whatever else our inclinations may be. But the anxiety with us who have bipolar is that it becomes excessive and intense. It lingers, it becomes just a day-to-day reality, week-to-week experience that we sooner or later find it so difficult or even impossible to function. We need help. So we get it. Surely there can be no shame in that. Where there is anxiety, there is a disruption of that balanced feeling that it's okay, that everything is going to be okay, however difficult life may be. Instead, it's replaced with ups and downs that often paralyze us, characterize us for days and weeks. It causes us to malfunction. It instead makes us so difficult to work with because we are just simply anxious. On the other hand, there is that serenity, the ability to endure with a balanced range of emotions, where there is calm and even patience. That is a wonderful blessing to have, a grace that we can cultivate with good habits and, if necessary, treat it with medication and therapy. As I pause today, myself, I have found it useful to turn to a place of peace and quiet whenever I am anxious. I found it useful to talk about my anxieties by being alone, acknowledging them to myself and to God in prayer. I'm scared, Lord. I'm so anxious about the outcome of this problem. Please help me to know who is in charge. Please give me that perfect peace that you have promised those whose minds are stayed on thee, O Lord. For me to pause brings me often to the lake or to the ocean or to the waterfall or even just a pond or river, because there I see waves that remind me of my life of anxiety. But then when I see the calm ripples, they also make me long for and work at embracing serenity. Recently, I was in Florida visiting family, and I decided on the last day to take a couple-hour walk on the beach, which turned out to be 6 hours and longer, and according to my Fitbit, 30,000 steps and more. But you see, I was in a kind of a trance, peaceful. I forgot the time, and I was thinking, and I was becoming very peaceful and calm and did not want that to go. I must say that most of my sermons have been made during walks and in the seeking and longing for water. Now to some of my reflections. When I am anxious, I often come across as being angry. When there are anxiety triggers, things that make me nervous, say that I'm doing something that I'm not good at, I sometimes have outbursts as if I'm venting my anger at myself or at another, or even at an event that has made me uncomfortable. Instead of admitting to myself and others my raw feelings of trembling and fret, I hide them with a louder voice or a sterner tone, or simply with a stare that looks like bitterness. I'm not excusing myself. I can understand why it would come across as anger to someone who does not understand bipolar and who becomes hurt. And so that anxiety also, secondly, makes me appear at least defensive. I start using yes buts because that's how I feel. No, that's not true, or the other person made me, or this is the end of the world if this is going to happen. I feel like I'm being scolded, accused, rejected. Those are signs that a person is feeling cornered and trying to get out of a tough spot. But again, it comes across, understandably, as being unwilling to take blame or even as being proud. Another thing anxiety causes for me is mental and even physical exhaustion. The mind's eye becomes dull because of constant rumination, thinking of the same thing again and again and again until you can't think anymore. Focus becomes very difficult and stress becomes very hard to handle. With anxiety, you then make mountains out of molehills and, ironically, molehills out of mountains. The not so important things become huge waves and the very important things just pass by you blindly. And with these reflections, I must also pause to connect. I remind you that I am not a medical doctor, so my personal suggestions are just that, my personal suggestions, born out of my own experiences as a bipolar survivor. I speak as one who has received much grace, and I am strongly motivated by the Spirit of grace to emphasize grace in these talks, so that by God's grace, we all together can embrace the trials of life, including our mental illnesses. Hopefully, with this awareness will come the desire to connect with yourself, with others of like afflictions, with God, with a good therapist or a psychologist or psychiatrist. God-given means which God has blessed us with so that we can function with more balance, with more serenity in the days ahead. I know that for me, pausing to become aware and to be able to identify my own anxieties and to deal with them honestly have been very helpful exercises. I hope it is to you too, so that you go out there and get support. The problem is this, isn't it? In our anxiety pertaining the outcome, the first step is the hardest. We are anxious about being anxious, so we don't get help. We are too anxious to do so. Will I be addicted to meds? Will I be branded as mad? Will it mean I will not be able to get a job? Those are real anxieties. I have found it most useful and have been able to function well the last 12 years after I was diagnosed. I still have my bouts of anxieties, of course, but I have been blessed with many friends, some of who left me, others who came forward and close by to me to help. I would encourage you to find some friends like that who either have bipolar or who understand and care for those who have mental illness, and meet with them if they are available on a regular basis to share and to pray together and to spend time simply talking about your anxieties and your desire for more peace and calm. I would encourage you to use this simple method, PRC, pause, reflect, connect. Maybe in the woods, maybe by the ocean, whatever place in your mind or in a real place, to reflect on how anxious you have been in your life and how you can grow more in peace in the balancing of your moods and feelings. And hey, if you find what you are hearing to be helpful, please subscribe and share to others so that they can join us too. This is Jai Mathani signing off with Embracing a Bipolar World with Grace. I wish you many blessings of grace. Thank you.